Then you're ready to bring up the snout and sew it in place. So you can see how I'm going to sew across the edge, making sure that the nose stays straight and that the black portion under the eyes lines up with the black portion of the snout. So the first portion that I'm sewing to the front panel is this top portion here, making sure that my nose stays straight and my eyes stay straight. And I'm sewing with my tapestry needle just under the ridge that we created when we created the snout. So for mine, you can see that some of my top portion of the snout hangs over the edge, and I just made sure that I sewed the snout so that it's completely closed. None of the stuffing can come out. And you want to make sure you do that on both sides. So now I'm sewing the other side. You can see how much I'm going in as I'm sewing it in place. So this is how mine looks so far. Now we're ready for the white decoration that goes on the bridge of the nose. The first thing we're going to do is start with a chain of 6. I'm going to make my slip knot first, just like we've done before. I'm using my white yarn. Now I'm going to make my chain of 6. Then you're going to take your crochet hook and go into the second chain from the hook, bring up a loop, make your single crochet, and then you're going to make 1 single crochet in every stitch back across. Then you're going to chain 1, turn your work, go into the next stitch over, and make 1 single crochet in every stitch across until you've completed 10 rows. So now I'm on my 3rd row, and I'm going to keep repeating this until I've completed 10 rows. After you finish your 10th row, go ahead and finish off. Just yarn over and pull enough yarn through to sew it onto the snout. Now, for the portion that's going to go up between the eyes, you're going to take your crochet hook and you're going to go right into the center. So we're going to make right in the center. Go ahead and grab your white colored yarn, hook it and bring up a loop. Then you're going to go ahead and chain 1 and then tie a knot. Then you're going to chain 1 again, go into the next stitch over, make a single crochet, next stitch over, single crochet. Then you can chain 1, turn your work, make a single crochet into the next stitch, and then a single crochet into that last stitch. And then repeat. Chain 1, turn your work, single crochet into the next 2 stitches. You're going to keep repeating this until you have the length that you want for the portion that goes between the eyes. For mine, I made a total of 7 rows before I finished off. And you can measure it too. Just lay the white portion down and see how far up you want to go. I want to make a few more rows so it goes a little bit higher up between the eyes. Then when you reach the size that you want for the amount of rows, go ahead and finish off. And then I always bring enough through to sew it onto the front panel. For mine, I just took the short loose yarn ends and just buried them into the work. So just kind of weave your tapestry needle through and just bury those into your work. And then just cut the loose yarn end. Then you're ready to sew the white portion on top of the snout. Just line it up, and then you just take and sew it to the snout. Then you're ready to sew the top portion of the white decoration down between the eyes. Now you're ready for the furrows that go around the eye. Now I'm going to show you how to make this furrow that goes around the eye. You start with a chain of 14, and then you're going to take your crochet hook, go into the second chain from the hook, bring up a loop, make your single crochet, and then you need 4 rows of 1 single crochet in every stitch. So when you reach the end, you just chain 1, turn your work, and continue, go into the next stitch and continue 1 single crochet in every stitch until you've completed 4 rows. After you finish your 4th row, you can go ahead and finish off. Just yarn over and pull enough yarn through for sewing the work together, and also to sew it onto your dog. So the first thing I do is take my loose yarn end and place it right down the center, and then I fold the work in half, take my tapestry needle, and then I just sew the ends together. So grab the stitch on the opposite side and just sew the 2 ends in half. Then you can take and shape the furrow around the eye. You want to make sure that you make the eye look sad. You want a sad look on there. And then once you have the furrow how you want it, then you just take and sew it in place. And then you want to make sure that it doesn't move or make an angry look. And then I just lined up the other one the exact same way, and then just sewed the furrow in place, making sure that they're lined up the exact same way as the opposite side. And then so far you finished the hardest part, which is making the face for your dog. And then here is an example of my other dog with the safety doll eyes and what he looks like. Now you're ready to sew your side panel, the head side panel, around the front panel for the face. The first thing you're going to do is line up the bottom portion of the side panel with the bottom portion of the front panel. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this loose yarn end and I want to sew it this end to the wrong side of the front panel along the bottom corner. You can go ahead and tie a knot. If you don't have a loose yarn end, you can just use the same colored yarn and do the same thing. Just tie a knot. And that just holds it in place for you. And then just take and measure across the side of the front of the face. You're keeping the loose yarn ends on the inside. And then in the top corner, you also want to tie a knot. I just take my tapestry needle with the same colored yarn. Again, you want to measure across to the top corner, and then just take your tapestry needle and grab that top corner and the side panel. Then just cut the yarn and tie a knot for that corner. Then you're going to take the opposite side. So go ahead and go down and around to the opposite corner. Because remember, you don't want to make this corner up here because we have to make sure we have enough for the wrinkles on the top of the head. So that's why we're doing the bottom corner first. And then I have enough yarn down there that I left for sewing. So I'm going to use that to tie a knot into that corner. So again, you want to line it up so that the wrong sides, you have the right side of the side panel facing the wrong side of the front panel. And then we're just going to tie a knot. I already have a loose yarn in there, so I'm going to go ahead and just tie a knot on the opposite corner. Then I'm going to take my yarn again and move along the side. Just measure it. And then you're just going to tie a knot in the corner. This will keep the edges straight along for the side panel and for when you sew the back panel on. And I'm just going to cut my yarn and tie a knot. Then you're ready to make your 3 wrinkles on the top of the head. So you want to make sure that the right side is facing up for the front panel and the right side is facing up for the top of the head. And then you're just going to take, and the first wrinkle that I make is on the center where the white strip is going to go. But you can make your wrinkles wherever you want. Just fold the top of the side panel together and then take your tapestry needle and then just go through a small portion of that wrinkle to sew it in place. Leave a long loose yarn end for burying into your work, and then just go about a stitch over on the opposite side, back through. Then you can go ahead and tie a knot. And this is how you're going to sew your wrinkle in place. Then you're just going to make sure that it's even, the side panel's even across the top, and then just sew across, sewing the wrinkle in place. Just going in and out with your tapestry needle. After you create the wrinkle across the center, just take your loose yarn ends and bring them in towards the wrong side of the work, and then I'll show you how I made the other two wrinkles. So I made the center wrinkle. Now I'm just going to fold the side panel right next to the first wrinkle that I made and make another wrinkle the exact same way. And then I'm going to fold it on the other side and sew that wrinkle in. So I'll have 3 wrinkles on the top of the side panel. This is how mine looks after putting 3 wrinkles, or placing 3 wrinkles in the top of the side panel. So now you can see how it's going to be lined up along the forehead, and you'll be able to see the 3 wrinkles. And you can have fun creating your wrinkles wherever you want, but this is how I made mine. Then you're going to turn your work back over, and you're going to be sewing the side panel in place. And I'm going to start in the bottom corner. You're going to take and line up the side panel. So I have the front side of the side panel facing the front side of the front panel, and then you have the wrong sides facing you as you sew. So you just take your same colored yarn, and then you take the bottom corner with your tapestry needle and then just sew all the way around. When you get to the wrinkles at the top of the head, come back and I'll show you how I sewed across my wrinkles. But now you're just going to take your tapestry needle and you're just going to go right along the edge, grabbing the stitch of the front panel and the stitch of the side panel with your tapestry needle, and you're just going to sew the panels together. Now I'm across the top of the side panel where I have all of the wrinkles, and you just want to line it up so that it lies flat, and then you just sew it the same way, just in and out with your tapestry needle. Making sure that all of your loose yarn ends are on the wrong side. That's one of the nice things about making the amigurumi, is you can hide all of the loose yarn ends on the inside. So I reached my first wrinkle, and you can see how I'm just going to go through the wrinkle and just continue sewing all the way across. I finished sewing all the way around, and then this is what it looks like once you turn it inside out. It looks gorgeous. Now you're ready for the side panel, the back panel. To sew the back panel on, you're going to want to fold up the side panel and have the front side of the face facing upwards. Then just take your back panel, you're going to lay it right on top, and the same way that we did for the front panel to the side panel, you want to take the corner of the back panel and the corner of the side panel and just tie a knot to secure it so it doesn't move as you crochet. You're going to tie a knot on the opposite side as well. If you don't have a loose yarn end, just get some of your same colored yarn, and you're going to take and tie a knot on the opposite corner. And then you're going to take and line up the two sides the same way tie a knot. And this just keeps your back panel straight and you make sure that you have it lined up so that you're even as you're sewing it with your tapestry needle. So again, just line up the other corner. And then tie a knot with your yarn. Then you're ready to sew the back panel onto the side panel. Then you're ready to sew it the exact same way. Just start in one of the bottom corners. And again, I leave a little bit of a loose yarn end for tying a knot. Then you're ready to sew just like you did for the front panel. You're going to sew all the way around, sewing the back panel to the side panel. So this is what mine looks like after finishing sewing the back panel on, and when you turn it inside out, it looks nice and straight. And now you're ready to sew the ears in place. For the ears, you're going to start with a chain of 15. You're going to take your crochet hook, go into the second chain from the hook, bring up a loop, make your single crochet, and then you're going to make one single crochet in every stitch back across. After you finish your single crochet in the last stitch, you can go ahead and chain one, then turn your work, and just like we've done before, you're going to go into the next stitch over and make a single crochet. And then you're going to repeat this pattern until you've completed 9 rows. So 9 rows of one single crochet in every stitch. After you finish the 9 rows of one single crochet in every stitch, then you're not going to chain one. You're going to turn your work, and then you're still going to go into the next stitch over, and you're going to make one single crochet, and then you're going to make one single crochet in every stitch, but leave the last stitch unworked, and then that will give you a stitch count of 12 for this row. So one single crochet in every stitch except for the last stitch, and then come back. So now I have one stitch left. I'm not going to make a single crochet in there. I have a total of 12 stitches for this row. Now you're going to chain one, turn your work, and then make a single crochet into the next stitch over, and then one single crochet in every stitch across, and when you reach the end you should have a stitch count of 12. Then when you reach the end, you're going to chain one, turn your work, make a single crochet into the next stitch over, and again you're going to make one single crochet in every stitch across, and you're still going to maintain the stitch count of 12 for one more row. Now when you've reached the end, you're not going to chain one. You're going to turn your work, make a single crochet into the next stitch over, and then you're going to make one single crochet in every stitch across except for the last stitch. You're going to leave unworked, and that's going to give you a stitch count of 10 for this row. Then you're going to chain one, turn your work, make a single crochet into the next stitch over, and then for 2 more rows you're going to make 1 single crochet into every stitch, maintaining your stitch count of 10. So before you turn, you're always going to chain 1, and that's just for 2 more rows of stitch counts of 10. So you can see how we're gradually forming the tip of the ear. Now you're ready to you're not going to chain 1 again. You're going to turn your work, make a single crochet into the next stitch over, and then you're going to make 1 single crochet in every stitch except for the last stitch. You're going to leave it unworked again, and for this row you're going to have a stitch count of 8, and then again you're going to need 3 rows with a stitch count of 8. Now I'm just going to work the last portion of the ear with you. So after you finish your last row of a stitch count of 8, you're not going to chain 1, you're just going to turn your work and make 1 single crochet into the next stitch over for 1, next stitch, 1 single crochet for 2, next stitch, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Then you're going to turn your work, next stitch over for 1 single crochet, next stitch for 2 single crochet, 3, and 4. Turn your work, next stitch over for 1 single crochet, next stitch for 2 single crochet, then you're ready to slip stitch. Take your crochet hook, go into that next stitch over, and then you're going to yarn over, turn the hook upside down, and then just bring the yarn through both loops on the hook for a slip stitch, and then go ahead and finish off. Just yarn over and pull enough yarn through to bury into your work. And then you're going to need 2 of these ears. After you finish making both of your ears, you can take your tapestry needle and then you're just going to bury your loose yarn end. Just take and weave it through the stitches on the ear. Then you can go ahead and trim the loose yarn end. Go ahead and bury all of your loose yarn ends on both of your ears. Now you're ready to position your ear for sewing onto the dog. Make sure that the portion of the ear that folds forward is facing forward. Then you're going to line up the corner of the ear with the eye, and you're going around 3 stitches back, and then you're going to form a triangular pattern with the bottom portion of the ear. And then I went in about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and on to the 9th. So then it forms a little bit of a triangle, and then it lines up with the bottom of the eye. Then you're just going to take your tapestry needle and you're just going to go in and out, sewing this bottom portion of the ear in place. And for mine, I just hold it in place and just go in and out, sewing the ear in place along the bottom ridge only. And then once I've secured this side of the ear, then I can go back and tie a knot on where I started. And that's how I sewed both of my ears on. So you can go ahead and sew both of your ears in place. This is what my ear looks like after sewing it in place. You can see how it flops forward. And this part is optional, but what I did is I just took my tapestry needle with the same colored yarn, came from the opposite direction, and just sewed the tip so that it keeps the ear folded forward. You don't have to do this part if you don't want to. You can just leave it the way it is if you want. but that's how I made mine. I just put one stitch there, tied a knot, and then just buried the loose yarn ends. This is what my dog looks like so far after finishing the ears. And I'm just going to show you my other dog. This is how he looks. Now you can set the head aside. I'm going to show you how to make the body. I'm going to start with my white colored yarn. Just drape it across your 4 fingers. Use your thumb to stabilize. Wrap the yarn across your middle fingers. Hold it in place with your pinky and your thumb. Then you're going to take your crochet hook. You're going to bring up a loop. You're going to make your slip knot. Then you're going to place 6 single crochet into the magic circle. Then you just take your forefinger and thumb, hold it at the base of the 6 single crochet, and then you're going to take one of the loops on the opposite side and close the magic circle. You can take that loose yarn in and pull on that. Then just turn your work. Now you're going to place 2 single crochet into every stitch around until you have a total of 12 stitches in the round. So 2 single crochet in every stitch around until you have a total of 12, and then come back. This is what your work should look like so far. If you have an opening in the center of your magic circle, just turn it over and pull on that loose yarn end, and then that will close up the center for you. Then you're just going to take your yarn marker. Go ahead and place the yarn marker right where you left off. We're going to start increasing the stitches in the round. So in the first stitch, we're going to place 1 single crochet, and then the second stitch, we're going to place 2 single crochet into the second stitch. We are going to be increasing all the way to 1 single crochet into 10 stitches, and then 2 single crochet into the 11th stitch. So for this first round, you're going to be making 1 single crochet into 1 stitch, and then 2 single crochet into the second stitch. Keep repeating this pattern all the way around, back to the yarn marker, and then come back. You should have finished 18 stitches total for that round. Then you just take your yarn marker and move it up. We're going to make another increase round. So you're going to take your crochet hook, go into the first stitch and make a single crochet, and the second stitch, make 1 single crochet, and then in the third stitch you're going to make 2 single crochet into the same stitch, and then you're going to repeat that pattern all the way around back to the yarn marker. So 1 single crochet into 2 stitches, and then 2 single crochet into the third stitch. You should have had 24 stitches around for your last round. I went ahead and moved my yarn marker up to get ready for the next increase round. So far you should be getting the hang of how to create the increase rounds. This next increase round, you're going to be making 1 single crochet into 3 stitches, and then 2 single crochet into the 4th stitch. Repeat this pattern all the way around back to the yarn marker. So for that last round, you should have finished 30 stitches in the round, and you've probably figured out that you add 6 stitches for each round. So now for your next increase round, you're going to make 1 single crochet into 4 stitches, and then 2 single crochet into the 5th stitch. And you're going to repeat that pattern all the way around back to the yarn marker, and that should give you, if you add 6 to your last round, which was 30, you should have a total of 36 stitches after that round. So now that you know how to do it, go ahead and finish making all of your increase rounds, and then stop when you get to 1 single crochet into 10 stitches, and then 2 single crochet into your 11th stitch. This is what mine looks like after finishing all of the increase rounds. I ended with a total of 72 stitches in the round, and my last increase round was 1 single crochet into 10 stitches and then 2 single crochet into the 11th stitch. Now you're ready for the stitches that will maintain the number of stitches in the round, so you're not going to want more stitches or less stitches. You should always end up with 72 stitches every time you get back to the yarn marker. Go ahead and move the yarn marker up. Then now you're going to create the front panel of white portion only, and on your circle you can see that you have a V shape created. So I made 1 single crochet into each stitch for 2 of these triangular portions, pie portions. So I made 1 single crochet into 22 stitches before I changed colors or added my color. So I just took my crochet hook, I went into the next stitch over, and then I brought up a loop. I have 2 loops on the hook. Go ahead and grab the color, the main color for your dog. Hook the yarn and bring it through both loops on your hook. Go ahead and chain 1. And then turn your work and just tie a knot. Then you're going to be crocheting with both strands of yarn. So we're going to start with our new color, but you're going to carry the white colored yarn along with you. So you're going to go into the next stitch over. You're going to go behind the white colored yarn, bring up a loop with your new colored yarn. Yarn over and go through both for a single crochet, and then you're going to make 1 single crochet into every stitch back to the yarn marker, and at the same time you're crocheting around the white yarn and carrying that with you as you crochet. Now I have 1 stitch left before the yarn marker. So I'm going to leave the yarn marker in place. It's going to help us count the number of rows that we complete. And then this is where I'm going to change colors. So you want to change colors the stitch before your color change. So you just drop the color that you've been working with and pick up your other color. Then you're just going to keep making 1 single crochet in every stitch around, and then you just carry the previous color that you were working with. So go ahead, finish making 1 single crochet in every stitch until you get to your next color change, and then the stitch before the color change, come back, and then I'll show you how I make the color change. So this is what mine looks like. So now I've reached my color change. So I have 1 stitch left before the color change. So I'm going to drop the white colored yarn and pick up my new color. I'm going to make a single crochet into the next stitch. And then you just continue on carrying the previous color as you crochet with the color change color. And that's how you change colors, and you keep doing this until you finished the number of rows that you want for the body of your dog. And you should always maintain the same stitch count. If you add stitches as you crochet, it's going to keep continuing to make your body larger. And if you decrease your number of stitches, then it's just going to make it smaller. So you want to maintain the size by keeping your stitch count the same every time you pass your yarn marker. This is what my one dog looks like after completing 32 rounds. You can see how the body shape maintains its shape because I didn't add any more stitches and I didn't decrease any stitches. So this was 32 rounds before I started making the decrease rounds to close up the body. And this is what your body should look like when you're done. Now with the color changes here, you don't have to make it look square. You can change it so that it kind of smooths in. So that's optional. You know how to color change, so you can change that look here if you wanted to. Just change the color before. So you may change the color here instead of at the same spot. So you can kind of vary the spots that you change color to make it look more rounded if you want. I just finished 25 rounds of one single crochet into every stitch, and you could see where I made my color changes. And since I always did it a stitch before the color change, it makes it straight. If you don't make the color change right before the color change, then it will curve. So you'll have a curve instead of a straight line. You can make your body as long as you want or as large as you want. For mine, I made 32 rounds. So you could change colors at any point during the 32 rounds. And I just wanted to show you here, if you don't like the square cutoff of the white portion, then you can change where you make your color change. So here I'm going to crochet a little bit more with the honey colored yarn. So I'm not going to change colors right before the color change. I'm just going to keep crocheting. And I'm just going to go in a couple of stitches before I make my color change. So then I'm just going to drop the previous color and then just start crocheting with the white colored yarn. So that's how you can break up. Instead of a square cutoff, you can have a little bit of a gradual cutoff on the white portion. I finished the portion where I made the color changes with the white colored yarn, so I'm just going to continue the last rounds that I have until I reach 32 rounds using the honey colored yarn. And I'm keeping the white yarn only because I'm keeping it consistent with what I've done for the rest of the body. I have cut off the white yarn before and tied a knot, but what happens is because you don't have the white yarn anymore and you're crocheting only with the honey colored yarn, it can come out slightly larger. So that's why I'm just going to continue crocheting around the white portion of the yarn and carrying it all the way towards the end of the body. So again, you're going to complete 32 rounds. This is what my white colored portion, how I made my color changes, but like I said, you know how to color change so you can make your own unique design for your crochet dog. After you're finished with your 32 rounds of one single crochet into every stitch, that's when you can go ahead and cut the white colored yarn. And don't forget to tie a knot to secure it. Then we're going to start our decrease rounds, which means we're going to decrease the number of stitches in the round. So you're going to need your yarn marker. I just use one of my scraps of yarn as a yarn marker. Then for the first decrease round, you're going to make 1 single crochet into 10 stitches. So 1 single crochet into 10 stitches. Then you're going to make your decrease stitch. So you just take your crochet hook, go into the next stitch over, bring up a loop, then go into the next stitch, bring up a loop, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, turn the hook upside down and go through all 3 for a decrease stitch. Then you're going to repeat that pattern all the way around back to your yarn marker, 1 single crochet into 10 stitches, and then make your decrease stitch. Now I'm back to the yarn marker, and you'll see that you're gradually decreasing the number of stitches in the round. For the next decrease round, you're going to make 1 single crochet into 9 stitches, and then you're going to make your decrease stitch. And it's also called single crochet 2 stitches together, or single crochet 2 together. Go ahead and repeat this pattern all the way around back to the yarn marker. So now you've probably figured out the pattern. You're going to keep decreasing your number of single stitches before your decrease stitch. So for the next decrease round, it's going to be 1 single crochet into 8 stitches, and then you make your decrease stitch. The next round will be 7, then 6, then 5, then 4, then 3, all the way down to 2 and 1. And then come back and I'll show you how to slip stitch it closed. You can stuff the body at any time as you're closing. I just finished my last decrease round of 1 single crochet and then the decrease stitch. I can remove my yarn marker now. And now we're just going to make decrease stitches until you can't make decrease stitches anymore. And then you're going to slip stitch it closed. So now I'm going to go ahead and just slip stitch mine closed. I'm going to skip the next stitch, go through the next stitch with my crochet hook, yarn over, turn the hook upside down and bring the yarn through both loops on the hook. And you're going to slip stitch all the way around until the work is completely closed. And then once it's closed, you can go ahead and finish off. So I'm already finished closing mine up. So I'm going to go ahead and finish off. Just yarn over and pull enough yarn through to bury into your work. Then you just take your tapestry needle and place it onto the loose yarn end. And then just go right where you finished off and then come out anywhere. And then just cut the loose yarn end. Now you can set the body aside and we're going to go back to working on the head. So now you have the head. Go ahead and turn the head upside down and then you're going to take and join on the side panel. And I like to join where I have a loose yarn end so I can tie a knot. And then just take and loop the same colored yarn and then chain 1. Then you're going to take and tie a knot to secure it. Go ahead and get a yarn marker and place it right where you left off. And then you're just going to make 1 single crochet in every stitch around. So 1 single crochet in every stitch around. And then when you get to the under portion here, I'll work this part with you under the snout. But again, it's 1 single crochet in every stitch. So now I've made it to underneath the snout, and you just continue the same way, just one single crochet in every stitch all the way around back to the beginning. And you're going to finish 7 to 8 rounds of one single crochet in every stitch for the dog's neck. I'm going to show you how to change colors because under the snout I put some more of the white colored yarn. I just finished 3 rounds of one single crochet in every stitch. Under the snout you could see how it looks here, so you can change colors at any point under the snout to add the white colored portion. Just continue to make one single crochet in every stitch for the next 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 stitches, and then I'll show you how to make the color change. So just like I did for the body, I just took my crochet hook, I went into the next stitch over, bring up a loop, then you just take your white colored yarn and hook it and bring up a loop, then go ahead and chain 1 and then tie a knot. You just make your single crochets across underneath the snout for as much as you want covered with the white colored yarn, and then you'll carry the honey colored yarn just like we did for the body. And for under the snout for the neck I made 8 rounds, and I'm going to show you a few of them so you'll understand how to make the white portion under. And you can make your dog unique. You don't have to make it exactly like how I'm crocheting it. So you can change colors wherever you want. So I'm going to change back now, and I may add more white colored yarn for the next round. But for now, that's the amount that I'm adding for mine. And then you just switch back to the honey colored and then carry the white yarn with you as you crochet, and you're just making one single crochet in every stitch around. So now I'm on my 5th round. So again, I'm making a total of 8, but I'm going to change colors now. So you can change colors at any point. Just take and drop the previous colored yarn and then go into the next stitch, go behind the honey colored yarn and bring up a loop with the white colored yarn, and then you just continue making your single crochets across. And then you can also just change back whenever you want. Just making one single crochet in every stitch, but at the same time you're carrying your other colored yarn with you, and then you're creating the pretty design underneath the snout as well. Remember that if you want a straighter edge, you would change colors the stitch before the color change. This is what mine looks like so far, and I'm on my 8th round. So I just carried my white yarn a little bit further, and I'm going to go ahead, since this is my last round, I'm going to go ahead and cut the white colored yarn. And then don't forget to tie a knot. You don't want the white colored yarn coming loose. So I just secure it with a knot. Then I'm just going to continue making one single crochet all the way back to the yarn marker. Then you can go ahead, when you reach the yarn marker, I finished my 8 rounds. Just take your crochet hook, go into the next stitch over, and then you're going to make your slip stitch, yarn over, and bring the yarn through both loops on the hook. Then you can go ahead and finish off, just yarn over, turn the hook upside down, and bring enough yarn through to bury into your work. Actually, you can bring more through because you can use this yarn to sew the head onto the body. Just makes it a little bit more secure that way. Now you're going to take the body and the head. We're going to sew the head onto the body. You can stuff the head at any time. I would recommend sewing the white portion first. So just take your white yarn and put it onto your tapestry needle. Before stuffing, I'm just going to sew the white portion onto the body. So you want the white portion that you sewed along the body to be underneath the dog. So that's the white portion that goes underneath the dog. So you want to make sure that you have it lined up, and then just line the dog's head up onto the body, and you're going to make sure that the head is straight on the body where you want it. So you just line it up, and then you're going to line the white portion on the head up with the white portion along the body, and then you could take your tapestry needle and sew along the last row of the neck on the white portion only with your white yarn. Make sure that your body stays straight and is aligned with the head. This is how I started to sew the head to the body. And then you just leave a long loose yarn end for burying into your work. And then I just sewed right across the bottom row of the neck onto the body, the white portion on the body. And then I'm going to come back across with the tapestry needle. After I reach the end, I'm going to go right back across and then tie a knot. So you can see how I've tied a knot on the end. I'm going to leave the long end for the sewing for now because I'm going to pick up and sew the honey colored portion. But first I'm going to stuff the dog's head with craft stuff. Now you just hold the back of the head down as you sew along the bottom row of the head to the body with your honey colored yarn. And I have a long loose yarn end for sewing, but you can just grab some more of the same colored yarn if you need to. I went about the 16th row back for the back of the head, and then you just take your crochet hook, your tapestry needle, and you just go in and out, sewing along the bottom row of the head to the body. I'm just going to show you how I made a couple of stitches. So I kind of held the back of the body and the neck as I sewed along the base of the head. And then you can make more than one round. So once I get to the other side, I can come back and sew back across. Now I'm going back across. So you just take some more yarn if you need to. So this is all I have left of the previous yarn I was sewing with. I leave a long loose yarn end so I'll have plenty to bury into the work. And then I just start with some new yarn. And then I just tie a knot with the old yarn to secure it. And then I just keep sewing, keeping the head straight. You don't want the head to turn or be crooked. And then you just keep sewing along the base of the neck to the body until you have the neck or the head sewn on completely and is secure. If your dog is looking down and you want the head to be straighter, you can sew a couple of rows up higher and just sew the neck down to the body on a higher row on the neck. For mine, I wanted the head a little bit straighter, so I'm going into the third row up on the neck and just coming across and forming a little bit of a wrinkle in the back of the neck. So this is an optional tactic if you need it for designing your dog, if you want the head a little bit straighter. Then, after you're completely finished sewing your dog's head onto the body, just take any loose yarn ends. You're going to go right where you tied your knot, and then just come out anywhere on the dog's body or head, and then just trim it.